Okay, so this is going to be a hopefully short, but probably slightly rambly video, uh, talking about everybody's favorite build. And by everybody's favorite, I mean no one's favorite. No one likes this. Please stop. It's not funny anymore. It never was. The Giant Dad. So, there are a lot of misconceptions about this build, unfortunately. Uh, and the biggest one being it is strong or good, and I'm going to hopefully try to correct that. So let's start with the perceived pros of this build, right? So first thing is that its poise is high, got a lot of poise, so you can tank a lot of hits. Next is that it's high mobility, meaning you can fast roll um, with the high poise equipment. It has a lot of damage for relatively low investment, and that it is quote unquote min maxed, right? So I'm gonna go point for point explaining why this is not a good build. Um, so if there was any perception that it was, that will hopefully be squashed. And also, if you know it's a bad build, shut up. So we'll start with vitality. So vitality, this is actually not a terrible value. 48 is good. You want to aim for about 50 vitality. Um, but really, this number is arbitrary. The real number that's important is your HP. Your HP is the important one. And this build does not have high HP. When you have a game where even the uh, least min-maxed build with a Hornet Ring can deal close to 1,000 damage in a single backstab, this is not enough. It's really not. You need close to 2,000 to be somewhat viable. Um, and this number, what's stopping this number from going any, or rather this number from going any higher, is the use of the Mask of the Father. And this is Mask is generally a meme. It's regarded as a meme. It looks stupid. It's useless, really. And I'm going to tell you why. So, other than the fact that the benefit that this mask gives you is generally minimal, it offsets its already generally pathetic stat increase or advantage by its own weight, right? So you have a plus 5% maximum equip load from the Mask of the Father. So depending on the rings you have, you need to reach a minimum endurance threshold in order to even offset the weight of the mask in and of itself. But at this point, with 66 endurance, the mask takes up over half of the benefit that it gives you with the Ring of Favor and Havel's Ring. Uh, Now, if you were to, however, change this to the Mask of the Mother, and then raise your endurance and lower your vitality to the same soul level threshold, you actually have more HP, even lowering your vitality by 6 points. So that's already one shit uh, piece of the build taken down. But let's just go backpedal a little. So now 12 attunement. This is fine. This is also fine, right? Black Flame. Nothing particularly bad about Black Flame. This is a good spell as well. Now, however, here's where the problem comes in. Okay, one, you're using 2 casts of Black Flame. Now, this isn't necessarily a breaking point with the build because you can just change this to tune it to whatever you want. But nobody's gonna use 16 casts of Black Flame in a single fight, realistically. But with this build, you might because your dexterity is so fucking low. Now, Dexterity is directly tied to the speed at which offensive spells are cast, maxing out at 45. Now, at 10 dexterity, which is almost close to the lowest dexterity you can get in the game, your ability to hit people with any spell, let alone Black Flame, which is already pretty fast, is going to be minuscule. You're not going to be able to hit anything. So you might run through all your Black Flames trying to hit people and then just getting rolled because you're an idiot. Now, I would change this to 45 or just not even run pyros in general with this. Now, at this point, you can kind of tell just going, a few steps in that this build was not made by somebody who knows what they're doing, right? And it's a product of its time. This build, and not a lot of people know this because the joke is lost in the meme, but this is a parody of what builds looked like before the Artorias of the Abyss DLC came out, when the Darkwood Grain Ring was so strong. Now, pre-patch, the Darkwood Grain Ring would let any build below 50% carry weight, meaning if you were mid-rolling, you could flip with this ring on. And so you would have people who genuinely had min-maxed armors using minimal endurance, or rather they were using extremely high poise, high physical defense armors with relatively low endurance, and they were flipping around with high mobility. Now, of course, it was nerfed, and it's continued to be nerfed since then. But what this build is doing, it is replicating that effect. And it's not doing it well, because this build is not viable anymore. This type of playstyle is not viable anymore, right? So, you can start to tell that this build was made by somebody who doesn't know what they're doing or know what is viable, and they're just mimicking something to the best of their ability. And that's fine. Like, you can have fun in the game, and the guy that made it, no comments on Afro, but he knows it's not a good build. He knew it wasn't a good build when he made it. That's the joke, right? So the Zweihander was chosen because people didn't know how to toggle, so they just got infinite stun locked into oblivion. The High Poise was chosen with no regard to its actual effectiveness or necessity, given the fact that it's fast rolling, because this is just what people used, right? Hopefully you're beginning to understand why this is so bad. Continuing on, right? Beyond this already. So the Zweihander in and of itself is not a good choice. Now, given the fact that it's a extremely heavy weapon already, now it's one of the lighter heavy weapons in the game, but with this particular setup, it doesn't make any sense while using these rings and not mid-rolling, right? On top of that, in order to make this work, Chaos Infusion is necessary, which you may not know, but when your damage is split between two values like this relatively evenly, when damage is calculated, it is affected by two defense values separately. Now, I've made a whole write-up about making builds and the importance of split damage in your decision making for weapon choice and weapon infusion. Now, generally, but the rule of thumb is one damage type, one large lump sum of a damage type is preferred infinitely more than this, because this will be reduced significantly. You're looking at, under half of this number per swing. And this might have not made a difference against trash players who didn't know how to toggle, but against anyone who knows what they're doing, your damage output is going to be bad. You're not going to be able to win trades because your HP is already low. Your poise is redundant at that point because you're going to be dead. It's just not good. Okay? And Grass Crest is Grass Crest. That's it. So now, in and of itself, as a joke, it is not that bad, right? It's not offensive. Now, it is extremely annoying to still be hearing this incredibly redundant joke that has somehow become synonymous with the game itself in the year of 2020. So please stop. Thank you.